Welcome back to the Poison Touch Advice Hour, the podcast where Josephine Baker and her friends give you all the best and worst advice to deal with all of life's predicaments. And before we start, the reason I say Josephine Baker is because when I woke up today, I fixed it since. My hair was curled in such a way. I had this little, like the tiniest little finger. I looked in the mirror. I said, "Oh, Josephine Baker." It's like,
little Superman curl.
the little Superman curl. But the way it was like stuck so flat to my hair, or to my forehead, like it was really just like. I was feeling very 1920s. I am joined today by the VioletFlava, the artist formerly known as Stan Luna Stan Talent, my good friend Charlie. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. I'm excited. I'm very excited.
I'm good. I'm excited that you're excited. Have you ever done anything like in the realm of podcasting, or is it just mostly streaming for you?
It's just streaming. I have not been on a podcast ever, but I mean, like, it seems like it'll just be the same.
It's transferable skills. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're just on here shooting the shit. I mean, there are podcasts that are like very like, I sent you an outline, but there are some that are like doom 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 doom.
Yeah.
Mine is very not that. We have a little outline, we've got the questions, and that's about it. It's real simple.
Yeah.
How did we get to know each other? I think was it pre-pandemic, like right before the pandemic, maybe.
I think it was like streams. Probably just before, because I had started streaming in 2019 and I had been following Irene for a bit. And I think I came in through an Irene raid.
Yes.
And I want to say you were playing Shadow of the Colossus.
That's a favorite. It's one of my favorites.
It's such a good game. And I just love the vibes. So I was like, let me stick around.
It's so good. Shadow of the Colossus, for those of you, if you have not played, is one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. It's hauntingly lonely in a way. Mm-hmm. You are one person fighting 13 gigantic beasts in order to bring your dead girlfriend back.
Yes. Oh, spoilers! Oh my god! For like a decades-old game.
I know, like. But I mean, the game, when you start the game, you see her on the slab, and I feel like But yeah, spoilers for a game that came out in 2007.
Something like that.
I don't know. I bought it.
It's kind of old now.
Yeah, I remember when I saw it at ShopRite, which is weird because ShopRite was a grocery store in my hometown. Does not normally sell video games, but like where the cigarette counter was. At the customer service, they had a couple games, and I saw Shadow of the Colossus, and just like the picture was so stunning. I was like, "Mom, can I get that one?" So yeah, it was the one rare time I bought a video game at the grocery store.
I mean, it was fate, clearly.
And that it was, because look, no Shadow of the Colossus, we wouldn't be here today.
All right, let's say that. Like, it comes full circle.
Yeah, let's wake it up.
Actually, I have not played that game. I've only watched people play it.
You should play it. It's great. It's fantastic.
I want to. I really want to.
And I'm sure you could find like a really good sale on it now.
Oh, yeah. And especially since I have a PS5 now, I could probably get like the PS4 version or something like that.
I think it actually might be like in the library of things that they like give you for free with the service.
Yes, that's true. Like the PS Plus or whatever.
Something like that. I just know because I have the versions. I think that's like how I got it. Anyway, let's talk a bit about your stream. Let's talk about what is the vibe of a VioletFlava stream. What can people expect? The people listening, they're like, this girl, she sounds kind of nice. I want to check out her stream. What can we expect?
What can we expect from a CharlieFlava VioletFlava stream? That's a good question. Good vibes for sure. I like to be unabashedly myself. Just kind of like do whatever comes to mind. And I think I could even start because like the reason why I even became a streamer was because like as a Black trans queer person, woman, whatever, what have you, I wanted to like have a little space for myself in gaming because like it's not always that easy to find other people like that. Mm-hmm. And just like prioritize, other Black queer gamers, but also leave room for other queer people of color who, love gaming and just like, I don't know, create a space that we can just like chill, have fun, shoot the shit, just be ourselves.
Definitely.
So definitely authenticity as well. Like I get caught up saying silly fucking shit all the time. Um, I also the community that I have is like really close knit. Like we really kind of are a family at this point, and especially because like they'll even go out and do shit like go to concerts, always wearing masks because we don't play about that. Like hang out and stuff like that. It's really cool. We just like play games, chill out.
I love
Um,
that. I
yeah,
love when like
yeah.
the online sector like transfers over into the
Hmm.
real, and it's like, hey, I'm gonna be in your city for whoever's in town, and I
Literally.
always think that's fun. And I think public perception of that has changed so
Oh,
vastly,
absolutely.
like over like just like the past 10 years. I remember the first time I like went to go meet an internet friend, and like my like friends in real life were like, you're what? You're I was like, what do you mean? Like, does everyone not just have like internet friends like this? Apparently not, because the
Apparently
way
not.
they were looking at me crazy.
No, literally. Like like 10 or so years ago, you would not find me trying to meet up with nobody because I mean, even now, I try to keep a pretty like private
Oh yeah, for
presence
sure. I mean, stranger
online because
danger is always
stranger danger is still
stranger
there and
danger.
present. But it's nice when you can find like real people, like authentically themselves. They're just kind of
Yeah.
like here to chill. So I'm
Hmm.
glad that I've definitely found those type of people for
Yeah, I
sure.
think that is like the thing that sticks out the most, authenticity. Because
Hmm.
anytime I'm in your stream or hanging out, that is like you don't put on for the camera. It's just you're just shooting the shit with all your people, and it feels very chill. It's
Yeah.
like it feels like if I'm sitting there, eating a little snack and watching you, it feels like you're like across the table from me, just
And that's like what I really want, because like the those little jokes and memes about I got YouTube and I got my little snack on the side. Like that's what I want to do. Like I want to make that for somebody. Like someone who could
yeah.
just turn my stream on, have a little snack, either participate in chat or just watch. I don't really give a shit, but just like have a good time. Like that's really
Shout
what
out
I'm
to
all
the
about.
lurkers. I feel like some
Very
people are like very anti-lurker in a way that's like
Mhm.
weird, but not everybody wants to be actively chatting. Like some people are
Yeah,
working out or walking around or just eating food or just sitting there and just don't want to chat. And
absolutely.
there are some streamers who will like call out the lurkers, and that's like crazy to me. Like, girl, just
That is
let them live.
insane.
Let them live.
Lurkers are kind of like the backbone of Twitch, though, because
They really
the vast
are.
majority of people lurk, and like I can understand wanting interaction because who doesn't? But like the lurkers are there; they're still supporting you. I can guarantee
Yeah.
you, if you support them, they're gonna hit you with a sub, they're gonna hit you with a follow, they're gonna hit you with something. So
Exactly. And just because they're lurking doesn't mean they aren't like giggling at the things you're saying. Like for me,
exactly.
it could be silent. I will just continue to just go off, just extemporaneously and just make jokes at myself because I'll laugh at my own jokes. So
Um,
shout out to the lurkers, but yeah, I just had because there was like Twitter discourse where like some streamer was calling out his lurkers and then other people. It was like a whole thing. I was like, the discourse is too much. It's too much. I thought
discourse on Twitter is just entirely, it's just too much always.
and surprisingly, I did not feel like the pride discourse this year was that bad.
Mr. Sir with the bandana around his thigh
He
was
didn't show
silent,
up.
and
Yeah, he did not show
he's like
up.
the groundhog. You know how like with the groundhog, if it sees a shadow, it's like
Yeah.
2 more months of winter or whatever. He didn't
If we
show up, so we had good practice score.
if we see that bandana, then it's gonna be some problems on Twitter.com.
Mm,
Oh my god. So when I met you, you were Stan
mhm.
Luder Talent, named after
Yes,
the fabulous K-pop group. What made you want
exactly.
to change to VioletFlava? And then we'll kind of get into the advice session after that. But it's good to get to know the people I have on the
Of
show.
course. Of course. Yeah. I originally had even had that as my name as a joke, really, because my friends would stream on Twitch just for like our little Discord calls, like my little friend group or whatever. And one day I was like, what would be so funny? What if I joined the stream and my name was this? Because I didn't have an account at that point. So I was like, what if I just name myself this and join it? I was like, hi, or whatever. Um, and then when I started taking streaming a little bit more seriously, I was like, you know what? I love these girls. They're fun. They're cute. And like, I could even use like K-pop as like a kind of avenue to attract people to come in, because I know like people who go up for K-pop go up
Go
for
up.
K-pop. Like,
Yeah.
um, so I was like, and it also like it was just something that I really was into at the time, because their whole shtick was like creating this kind of like universe through their music videos and stuff like that. So it was like really interesting. Um, but after a while, and even while I was that, I was kind of like having an identity crisis, because it was like, that's not me. Like now it has become a part of my brand, but it's not authentically me. It's a part of me. And I had taken a break from streaming around like 2021 to about a year ago, maybe like, yeah, like late last year. And in that time, I was just like, you know what? Let me be consistent and like being more, putting myself more in the focus of the branding. And I
Yeah.
had already had like blue flavor and green flavor on my other socials. If I had my way, I'd be blue flavor everywhere, but people like to hoard URLs.
That they
So
do.
um, and I was just like, you know what? Let me just do violet flavor, since I already have blue and green, purple, which is purple, and
Cute.
rest was
We gotta
history.
get the whole spectrum.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
also I had gradient as a URL at one point, so
See.
it all comes full circle always.
Reddit could be like the red flavor.
Please.
Yeah. Pinterest, like the orange flavor. We could work
Hmm.
down the whole line.
Or I'll
Uh
have like white flavor for Google Plus or something when they bring that shit back.
yeah. So when I go through and I'm like thinking of people to have on the podcast, so this is like a little how the sausage is made for those of you that are unaware. I like to think about people who have A, something to promote, B, who I think I can volley off with and talk really well with, even if I don't know them necessarily. So sometimes I have people on that I'm like only meeting for the first or second time,
Mhm.
but who I've like seen their content and like, oh, I could definitely talk to them. Third, and I think this is the important part, is I try to find someone, and I think everybody can give good advice. I think some people choose to give really bad advice, but I think everyone is capable of giving advice on a wide variety of topics, depending on the things that they're good
Absolutely.
at. I think you give fantastic advice. I
Me.
don't think I've ever seen a bad take from you. I think you are incredibly smart and empathetic, and I think you really can see where people are coming from and kind of get to the heart of it while giving people grace, which is kind of how I like to give advice. So
Definitely.
you feel like a natural fit for how we do things here, and also we like to fry kind of the small fish here. Not everything has to be super serious. Like I love when
Not
people
everything
send
has to be
some like
serious.
just the pettiest of dramas. That's what I like here. But sometimes we do get serious things. So
Mhm.
I feel like I don't say it enough. Where I'm like the people I have on, I do choose, and this in part because over Pride Month was very busy, and a lot of people, were at the bar because I'm a bartender. And the question I hate most when people know who I am at the bar is they're like, when am I going to be on your podcast? And
Oh.
asking me that, and I'm trying to say this like so nicely. And I don't think the people that are asking it are actually listening to the podcast. So I don't think they're even going to hear
Mhm.
this. So this is not really for anyone listening. Do not ask me, when am I going to be on your podcast? Because it's a surefire way to not be on the podcast.
Mhm.
It's just like you have to trust that if I am interested, I will seek you out.
Yeah, and it's your
You know,
content, so you decide what is gonna work best for you, what fits best for you.
yeah. So I just had to. It's been weighing deeply on my soul
Settle
because
the score.
truly all Pride Month, I'm serving. I saw someone who I like kind of know. They were like, oh hey, blah 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 blah. So when am I gonna be your podcast? You ruined it there. We could have had a lovely
Not,
conversation. And the thing is, if we had a lovely conversation, I would be like, oh, that's somebody who I could probably have on. Like that. It could
make
have
the
been that
mental
simple.
note.
It could have
Right.
been that simple. But yeah, I just had to get that off my chest because it was weighing deeply on my soul, and I feel 10 pounds lighter.
Please.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break and then we'll get into the advice. We're back from our break. We had a lovely, lovely little break, little breathing moment. And our first question today is from Jules. It's a general advice question. And they write, okay, so I am an 18-year-old male and my boyfriend is about to turn 20 in March. We would have been together for 1 year in March. We plan on getting an apartment together with his friend he's known since high school, who is also 20. First of all, is this a good idea? If so, is Lakeview a good place to live? That's where we're thinking to move. That's in Chicago. So this is a little more,
I was
guess,
gonna say, I don't know where
Yeah.
is.
Yes. Also, I'll be 19 in June. Okay, so this is a little late. So they're already 19. Happy belated Pride Month, baby. Ew. So they turned 19. Their boyfriend is maybe 20, maybe 21, and they're thinking of moving in with a friend that he's known since high school. So you can't talk about the Chicago part. So I'll talk about the neighborhoods real quick, and then we'll get into the actual part, which is moving in with your boyfriend and his friends since high school a good idea. Lakeview, I think, is a good place to live, but it is very expensive. So I would not search for my first apartment there. I currently live in Lakeview, and I can only afford the place I have because me and my boyfriend are going in on rent together. So, I think for a first apartment, let's try to find something a little cheaper in the budget, because you can find a good place in Chicago close to the CTA or a bus or, close to the Julasco or Mariano's, wherever you'd like to shop. That's how I like to look for apartments. I need a grocery store within walking distance. I need a train, within a 15-minute walk that I can get to. And you can find that whether it's in Uptown is a little cheaper sometimes. When I first moved here, I lived in Wicker Park. Wicker Park has since changed a lot. It's a neighborhood. It's a little hipster, but then by the same token, it's like one of those like hipster gentrified areas that is like one street you have like the most expensive coffee shop you've ever seen, and then like on the other street is just like a mess. So Wicker Park was good when I was there, I feel, for my first apartment in Chicago, but I was also living with two people, so rent was definitely more affordable. I think now it's also more expensive. So honestly, Uptown is where my heart is. Uptown, Argyle, where like the Vietnamese neighborhood is. You're close to the night market they have during the summers is fantastic. It's actually today. I might go later. So when this comes out, it won't be a Thursday, but every Thursday from July to, I believe, September on Argyle in Uptown, there's a night market with delicious Vietnamese food, local vendors.
This food is good as fuck.
It's so good. It's a fantastic. It's a really cute neighborhood too. So, anyways, try to find something a little cheaper than Lakeview because Lakeview is expensive. But now into the advice that we could both talk about. Do you think for someone who is like currently 19, moving in with a boyfriend and his friend who they've known since high school, do you think that's a good idea?
I would need. So what stands out to me is that you're moving in with your boyfriend and his friend.
Yes.
And I feel like that feels a little bit imbalanced, especially if you don't know his friend too well already. Because already, moving into apartment with someone at 18 is kind of like, it depends. I feel like you got to realize that you got to set boundaries for sure, because even if you were just moving in with a friend, you got to make sure that there are ground rules. And because people live in different ways, people are messy,
100%.
People are clean, people are particular about their clean, people are particular about their mess. And if you don't know whether or not you can vibe with the way that someone lives, then that can get real stale real quick. And not even stale.
It could get aggressive.
It
could get aggressive. Yeah. 100%. I think one of the first lessons that I learned when I moved into like my first apartment, probably around when I was 18. Yeah. Because I stayed in the dorms my like first semester and then got an apartment with a couple friends afterwards. Learning to live with other people, especially when those other people are your friends or a significant other, is super, super hard. And I know moving in with strangers can be weird. Sometimes moving in with strangers can be great. Because then you can't ruin a friendship that was
You
there prior,
know,
you know?
it's just a business agreement at that point.
Exactly. It's just a business agreement. And that is an important thing. Having like a list of house rules,
Yes.
you know, just say like, let's not keep the living room a mess. You know, if you're a messy person and you're living with other people, you have to learn to contain the mess
To
just in
your
your
area.
space, in your
Yes.
room. Learn how to keep the dishes clean, learn how to keep the living room and the kitchen clean. And it might feel like a lot of work and you'll be like, oh, I hate cleaning, whatever. Keep the mess to your personal area. I'm a scatterbrained person. As much as I am a Virgo, I am like, there's a mess, but I know where everything is in that mess.
Exactly.
That being
Exactly.
said, I like in my current apartment, I keep that mess in this office.
Hmm.
I don't like bring it to the bedroom because I know my boyfriend will feel a type of way about it. I don't bring it into the kitchen or the living room. I try to keep those as clean as I can because I know how he likes things.
Hmm.
So you have to adapt yourself just as much as your roommates have to adapt to you, which some people aren't willing to do. You know, it's like it's a very hard to balance
It's
kind
a
of like tightrope.
transition.
It is a transition, especially at 18, like
Yeah.
learning who you are as an adult, uh, going into the world, like kind of living on your own for the first
For
time.
the
It
first
is,
time.
it is
Yeah.
like a difficult transition. So if they take time with it, I think with a boyfriend is where I'm like ding 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 ding. You've been together for 1 year, which you know that's like it's time. I think for your first apartment, maybe move in with just some other friends
Friends. I would
or
agree there
or
too.
strangers for the business agreement of it all. But
Mhm.
friends, because a boyfriend, if things go south, you're all locked into this lease agreement, and then there's going to be resentment building because you're not dating, but you're still in the same area all the time, and then
It'd be awkward when
it
someone starts bringing people over if you don't
exactly.
last or whatever.
Yeah, and this isn't to like I'm not like trying to have you like doom
Yeah.
spiral to be like oh my god we're gonna break up over this year, but it is something to think about, you know.
Yeah.
Or if only one of you is on the lease agreement, you know, there's got to be some type of plan in place for if something happens, if you do end up breaking up, how are you going to handle it? And I just think that's just being a realist about it, you know.
Mhm.
So these are all just things to think about.
Because on the flip side, I think it could be a good opportunity to, work through that transition into adulthood because it's a really good, mess to take care of as an adult, right? Like you have to manage yourself, manage somebody else, make sure that you're being respected, make sure that you're respecting others, it
100%.
can definitely be helpful, but just make sure that
Yeah.
you're considering all of the things that it entails.
Yeah, because it might be nice to have your boyfriend with you, you know.
Mhm.
But by the same token, it might dating someone and seeing them, you know, a couple times a week versus seeing
See
them
them every single day.
all the time is way different. When my boyfriend and I moved in together, we had a conversation. So his lease was like ending a couple months before mine was, and
Mhm.
he was like, "Well, what if we like, you know, tried living together for the summer just to see like how it works?"
Mhm.
Knowing full well that if it didn't work and we needed to like still live in separate apartments, then we could do that. You know,
Yeah.
we checked in every couple of months and it was like, hey, how are you feeling about living together? What are some things that we could change? You know, and one of the ones was, can you start putting your shoes back in the closet? You know, it's things like it's always conversations like that. So yeah, sometimes when you're living with someone, have those like you need to have those conversations and check in
Too.
about how the living situation is going.
Because it's gonna be those little things
It's
that
the
you don't
little
even
things.
realize that are gonna start building up if you don't communicate.
Yeah, because you like, of course, it doesn't feel any way to you because you've been doing it, you know, for however long. Like me leaving my shoes right by the door, that's fine with me because I've always done that, you know.
Mhm.
But having that closet to put everything in, okay, I got to put it in there. We're gonna keep it out of sight. You know, it's just something to. And it's little things. They're really easy to take care of. It just you have to take that active approach
Yeah,
and be like, I'm going to do this because I know it'll make that person happy.
exactly.
Yeah. And that's like that could even go for your roommate as well. So, but I just think the best if you do this, conversations, often, little house meetings, and they don't got to be super serious. Like, all right, who's not doing the fucking dishes? It could just be a little check in. Hey, how's everybody doing? Let's talk about this. Or a little, I hate to be like, do a chore wheel. A chore wheel just sounds very like, I don't know, very not the nanny, uh, the British nanny lady,
Oh, please, super nanny.
super nanny, because she
During a
loved a
crisis,
chore
I'm
wheel.
on my way.
I'm on my way. She loved a chore wheel, but like
I bet.
you gotta have these conversations some way to get people to be like I'm doing floors today. You'll do the bathroom this week. Figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can go well, but everyone's got to put that work in.
Everybody's got to put that work in. Everybody's got to be willing to do that as well.
100%.
So,
but yeah, good luck. Best of luck. Send us an update.
yes,
this goes for everybody. We love updates here. Also, all advice that we give is for entertainment purposes. We're not therapists. We are
move in immediately and don't respect them
at all.
Be a tyrant.
Yeah. You're living in my house, please. Oh my God. Let's get into this next one. This is from Base Serpent Mesmer. It's a sex and love question. And they write, so my husband has another partner, and we've been spending a lot of time together, like as three. And I'm really enjoying our time both in and outside of sex. Recently, they asked whether me and them were dating, and I said no, because they're dating my husband. And it feels like they were to date me would be as an extension of my husband rather than for myself, because our relationship with each other would still exist, but would be markedly different. And we'd likely hang out less with each other without the common denominator. And I think that's a reasonable response, because it leaves room open for possibility and a clear way forward if that's something they'd like to pursue. But I just wanted a second opinion, and also to know whether you have ever went through something similar for representation. I personally have never been through kind of a third situation. I had an open relationship once. It was not the best open relationship because
oh God.
We opened it up after he cheated on me. I was like, fine, you want to play ball? Let's play ball.
No.
So it was like fine for a little bit, but then like after a point we were just like fucking other people to get back at each other. And then it was just like a whole mess. So not the best example.
Okay, I guess we both ain't shit.
Yeah, like Meg said, yeah, we both ain't shit. Yeah, but that being said, I have lots of friends who are in open relationships that are working fantastically for them. I have some friends who have introduced thirds to their relationship, and I've seen it go well in some cases. I've seen it gone bad in some cases. I think the important thing, just like the last question, open communication the entire time. Absolutely. Your husband has another partner. If you want to date them, that's something to talk about. If you don't want to date them, that's another thing to talk about. You can still fool around with them. You can still hang out with them. But I think it's important to have that boundary set to be like, this is my husband and you're their partner and we're cool. We can go to the movies and fool around and do this and that and whatever. But yeah, I don't think it's like, I think they put it out very simple themselves. It's a reasonable response. They
what are we supposed to give advice on?
That's honestly, the thing. I was like, they
feel like what you're going through at this point.
And they feel very well adjusted about the whole situation, and like they kind of know what they're doing. So I guess the second opinion is like, maybe they're like
reinforce it. I guess.
Yeah, I think maybe they're like maybe not second guessing themselves, but they're just like making sure like am I on the right path? Maybe.
Yeah. Absolutely, I would say, because very similarly, communication is important. It reminds me of that conversation about, oh my God, I just want gay friends, but I don't want to date people who want to fuck me. And it's like, well, people have different relationships with each other. Like some people fuck their friends, some people don't. Yeah. And so like if kind of translating that to this, if you feel like a relationship with that other person isn't necessarily going to benefit you in any way, or is it going to necessarily do anything for you, then talking about that definitely wouldn't hurt, because at the end of the day, that's not who you're in a relationship with. And you're obviously very comfortable in your relationship as an open relationship to be okay with your husband having that partner.
And it
So
sounds like they're comfortable with this third person as well.
yeah, absolutely.
Comfortable enough that when the person was like, "Hey, are we dating?" They were like, "No," but not in like a not in like a mean way. Just like, "No, I wouldn't consider us dating." You know.
Yeah,
And I think that takes like a level of vulnerability
absolutely.
and a
Absolutely.
level of like
Comfort too.
comfort and strength of self to be like, as much as I like you, we're not dating. You know, I'm married to my husband and I love that he's with you and I love the love that you guys share. And I like that we can share moments like that, but no, we're not dating. I
Mhm.
think that takes an extreme amount of vulnerable, because I know a lot of people who would fold and be like, I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I guess we are. No, like,
I mean, maybe.
yeah, like definitely congrats on setting that boundary for yourself.
Having a strong sense of self-awareness too.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we don't have an advice to give you.
You give me advice? Like,
Yeah, you might be the one needing to give advice. You could be the only person to hit me up and say, when can I be on the podcast? Let's
please.
talk about that. Yeah. Mesmer, you could be the one. So when am I gonna be on your podcast? I'll be like, oh, you're the one with the husband? Yeah, come on. Let's talk. Let's talk it out. Yeah, because you sound very yeah, just very well adjusted.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
I
feel
would
like
yeah, just continue to communicate. Keep
100%.
keep making sure that you're letting people know how you feel, and you'll be set.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's what they're doing. So amen for that.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah, that's the question. Oh, they were like, I'm gonna write something in just to let you know how good I'm doing. You know, they
Oh god. Well, I'm a mess, so.
yeah, they were like, look at me. I'm perfect. And I'm emotionally strong. I
And
have
I'm
a
also strong.
strong sense of self.
And I know who I am. And I got a
Yeah.
partner. And my partner got a partner.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Boom. Cut. Like, wow. Love that. This next one is from Miss Fat Kitty DeBars, and it is listed under other question mark.
I love that.
Hi, Jake and Charlie, longtime listener, first time caller here. And I don't really have a problem for you to solve, but I do have a question that needs to be answered. What is something about streaming/content creation that you really don't think people understand? What is some of the biggest hurdles that you two have that nobody but creators get? Thank you. Good luck, you two beautiful. Hope you win. Stan Madeline Pryor, Stan Talent.
Please. They
The
really
Goblin
made sure to get both of
Queen.
us.
They were like, this is morph those two together. Yes, the Goblin Queen.
Hmm.
I'll let you go first. What do you think?
Oh my god, I love this question,
This is a good
honestly.
one. This is fantastic.
I feel like there's a bunch of different things that I could say. Um, Content creation is really weird because, like, there are so many factors that go into whether or not, like, the stuff that you put out will do well. You know, what even does well mean?
Yeah.
Especially as a streamer. Like, streaming is a very fickle occupation, especially for people who aren't like partner or like are just becoming partner. Like, your audience is going to wax and wane on a very natural pace because, like we were talking about earlier, like, you know, people have other things that they're doing. You know, maybe they're getting a little bit more busy during the summer, or maybe they have more extra time during the winter. You know, maybe
Mhm.
those spikes will come and go, and that doesn't necessarily reflect poorly on your content. And I think that keeping that in mind while also wanting to, you know, strive towards more consistent retention of your audience is a very interesting balance to strike.
Yeah.
Something else, people can be very weird to streamers and
This is what
content
I was gonna
creators.
say. I was literally, oh my god,
People
taking the
can
words
be
out of my mouth.
very, very weird
Very
in
weird.
terms of like blurring the line between I am a person providing entertainment versus I am the product. I'm not the product. I'm not something to be consumed. I am making content to be consumed.
Yeah.
And even though I am being authentically myself, I mean, people perform everywhere, like everywhere in their lives, whether you're at work, whether you're with your friends, there's slight differences in how you act around those different situations. So people who, I don't know, think that, oh my God, they said my name, so we're best friends. It's like you gotta calm down. Go, like,
Yeah.
I not to be like that, but like, touch grass a little bit
Let's just
or
be normal,
something. Be normal. Cause
be
like
normal.
you don't have to get this super attached, you know, vibe and energy to enjoy someone. There's plenty of people who I watch very casually. There's people who I watch pretty regularly. And you know, I don't expect them to hit me up in my DMs and like be besties and stuff like that. Cause at the end of the day, they're still people.
Yeah,
There's
100%.
obviously a possibility, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like force it.
Yeah, and like your time isn't owed to
Oh my
someone
God,
just
no.
because they're like a viewer of yours, you know what I mean?
And then the people who feel entitled because like they subbed or like they, tipped or something like that. And they're like, oh, well, I did that. So like you need to talk to me. And it's like, no, I really
No.
don't. You did that
Yeah.
of your own volition, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
And I'll
Uh-huh.
keep that. Thank you.
Yeah, I love
My bank
that.
account loves that.
100%.
But no, baby, I don't know you.
Yeah. Like the thing is like I'm always going to keep it cordial professional, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But by like the same token, like don't overstep your bound. Like just be like I really don't know how else to put it other than just be normal.
Just be normal. Literally.
Be normal. And like so the other day, Bob the Drag Queen went
Mhm.
live playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Mhm.
And I was just like watching it while like eating cereal or whatever. Cause I was like, ooh, like a little morning news, right? So I
Right.
put it on, I was like eating my cereal. And I like so I was just lurking, but I'm like watching some of the comments come in. And people are just like saying the craziest things. And so at one point, she gets up to go to the bathroom, comes back, and one of the comments from like some random who was like already doing the most in chat was like, did it feel good to empty out that snatch mama? And you could tell like they were trying to do like a little cat a cow type thing. And like
Mm.
be
That's
normal.
just so weird.
Be
It's
and like
so
Bob didn't
weird.
say anything, but like they looked at the chat and you could see the look on their face where they were just like, that's a lot. Just
'Cause
be
that's
normal.
also a thing is that people think that because when you have a content creator who is like themselves, like they're not putting on a character or anything, they think that because they're getting to know this person to an extent that they're actually know this person. And so that they
Yeah.
get this like weird, overly comfortable vibe.
Overly
And it's
familiar.
just like, no, you're still a stranger at the end of the day. You are literally a line of text, a colored line of text in a chat
Yeah.
box. That's all I
A
see.
valued line of
A
text, a
value,
valued
very.
line of text. I love, thank you for coming into the stream. Thank you for supporting, super valued. Like,
Let
but
me
at
not
the
get
end of the day, I
canceled.
still do not know
I do
you.
not know
And
you.
that's
I
not to
do
be like, be
not.
rude. It's just,
Mm-mm.
I just don't know you,
It's just a reinforcement of the fact that like you wouldn't do that to some random stranger. You wouldn't go up to someone and be like, "Oh my god, did you empty that snatch?" Like, no, you wouldn't
Yeah,
do that. And if you
I'm not in
would,
the bathroom at the
then
movie theater, like, yes, mama, empty that stuff. Like, or what?
like,
That
no.
is crazy. Oh my
Um,
god. And that, it isn't just like a content creator thing. I would say the same
I don't
thing
know.
for performers, actors,
Mm-hmm.
drag queens, go-go dancers, all types of people, anyone who's
Absolutely.
like in kind of the eye of the public for
Mm-hmm.
some form of consumption. Um something that I talked about it earlier, the whole don't ask me to be on the podcast thing. That's like literally the answer to this question.
Yeah.
But the other thing is like having to change how you do things to ensure that it gets pushed by the algorithm. I hate having to do that.
Yeah.
Because like I
Yeah.
would love for this podcast to just be audio only,
Mm-hmm.
but people, like, the truth of the matter is people really like a video component.
Mm-hmm.
So like I
I'm
do
I'm guilty of that. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, like people like having something, they like seeing our faces, they like seeing us talk. I couldn't care less.
Mm-hmm.
Podcast is in my ear at all times. Like I'm constantly listening to a podcast. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's like I don't care. But yeah, like I have to record all of the recordings like with video so that I could make TikToks and Instagram reels so that people could see our faces and see the clips. Um, On YouTube, I have to have like all these weird like thumbnails and things like that. Like that's the thing to me is like the algorithm's always changing and
Mhm.
you have to kind of adapt with it. And like I just want to put my shit out there. So
And even
that's
when it comes to certain trends too, like certain video
yeah.
games that are coming out around a certain time, like if they're super popular, you have to consider, playing it just for the potential of garnering new viewers or new audience members and stuff like that.
Yeah, for I've recently stepped away from streaming for a bit. I
Mhm.
just found that like not that I wasn't enjoying it, but A wasn't having that much time for it. B I was
Mhm.
focusing on the podcast a lot more, and I'm still loving doing this. And I found that I just wasn't like finishing games because I was like, oh, I have to play it on stream, and I can't,
Mhm.
like the whole reason I still haven't finished Rebirth was because I was only playing it on stream. So I stopped playing it on stream. I'm enjoying it. I'm almost at the end. I'm currently in the cave of the ancients, and
Oh. I'm not
I'm
gonna say
almost
nothing,
done.
but it's
I am
the temple, right?
so yeah, I'm so
It's so
close to the
good.
end. I'm loving the whole little using the live stream to repair them.
Yeah.
It's so fun. So yeah, that's like where I'm at.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I stepped away from streaming and I'm just doing my like little daily persona videos on YouTube, which I think it's very low lift. I just record one day every day and I'm like, all right,
Mhm.
that's it. Cute. So I still feel like I'm giving some form of streaming content, but
Mhm.
yeah, I just feel like I wasn't, like I think trying to keep up with the trends of playing this game and that, and yeah, it was just a lot for me. So
It's the reason why I'm taking a little hiatus from streaming right now. Cause like I was playing Rebirth and I was having a good old time. But when I was getting close to the end, I was like, what am I gonna do? Cause like
yeah, it's
I
daunting.
just didn't like I couldn't find the right rhythm to fall back into
Yeah,
that was equally good for, the audience retention, but also my own enjoyment. Like I'm not going to do something that I don't enjoy, especially as a content creator.
hmm,
I have the freedom to make that choice.
yeah,
So like if I'm not going to enjoy it, then I need to like step back a little bit and reimagine like what it means for me and
yeah.
like what I want out of it.
hmm I think like another thing is like streaming, and this was something else. I noticed that like if I was streaming really regularly, it was great. People are there. The second you take a little break,
If you take a
all
break,
that work goes out the window.
it's and like you might see like that peak when you come back initially, but then
It
it's
tapers
just
off.
it yeah, and
Yeah, and then
it
it's the
sucks to
rat
see.
race. Yeah,
You
it's hard.
know.
It's hard. Yeah, streaming for me will have always peaked during the pandemic because we were all just stuck
Hmm.
out. Like we
We
had
just
nothing else to do.
nothing else.
That was what like if I was really if I was locked in, I would have been a partner during the pandemic.
Oh
Because
my
I we were
god,
seeing numbers. We were seeing numbers during the pandemic.
I think there was one time I peaked at like 60 naturally. I think it was like during my Outlast stream. And I was like, oh my God. And then I took a little break and it was just like,
Yeah,
no.
it's crazy. Like I remember my The Last of Us 2 streams. Yeah, we were peaking up there. It was good. The numbers were great,
Hmm.
fantastic. But yeah, streaming is it's fickle. This is I hate to belabor the point because I'm sure for people that like aren't content creators or streamers are
Hmm.
like, all right, where's this going? I mean, we can talk about this for hours. There's like
Really
so much to
good.
get into. But yeah, that being said, great question,
Absolutely.
fantastic.
I love talking about streaming.
Yeah, it's streaming, content creation, podcasting is another really interesting one.
Hmm.
And like I said, just I'm still having a great time. I'm loving doing the Patreon, doing bonus things as well. So I'm just always having a good time here.
I think also expanding your content creation outside of one platform is something that definitely helps a lot. And it's a hurdle to overcome because it can be really daunting at first.
But yeah, and like just trying to keep at it. Like I'm not on TikTok that much anymore, but like the fact that I have to keep going on and posting, like I really have to like keep reminding myself, like, okay, post every like if it's going on Instagram, it's going on TikTok. If it's
Mhm.
going on there, do it on you on the YouTube Reels page. Like it's got to hit multiple platforms to like reach out. All right, this is gonna be our last question. It's a little bit of a long one, but I think it's good. So this is from Nutmeg the Stallion. It's a general advice question, and they write, "Long story long. Just long story long.
What's the wrong?
Long story long. I'm in my early 30s. I'm a bit of a late bloomer in the gay world. I've been in the scene the last several years, but not really participating due to the lack of opportunities and interest from others. As of late, I've been making changes and doing things out of my comfort zone in order to grow. For example, I've been masquerading as a more confident person when I'm out, and I've been showing a lot more skin and posting thirst traps. I've even tried to put myself in sexual situations, even though I'm not the hookup type at all. I need an actual connection and to even be sexual with another person, but I can't make a connection with someone if I can't attract them. But that's another issue. Because I've been doing these things, I'm getting attention from men for the first time in my life. Not a lot to most people, but for me, it's 1,000% increase for someone like me. I've always put emphasis on what's inside, being the type of person, friend, or partner that I'd want to be around or with. I always lead with personality, not sexuality. So it's very frustrating to only be getting attention because I'm showing skin. It's very frustrating, like I was wasting a lifetime working on my insides when I should have just been doing this to lure people in. But pretending to be this new person is exhausting and going against my actual nature. It's making me crazy. My question is, should I keep this up? If I don't, things are going to go back to the way they were before 20 years of basically being profoundly lonely, which is hard for other people to understand because they've had the opposite experience of me. They've had so many different experiences, opportunities, and interests in them. But I'm getting older and I feel like I'm missing opportunities to meet people because youth is currency in the gay community. And don't give me that daddy bullshit because I never got to be young and attractive. I feel like it's a now or never. So I'm just behind in everything. I'm sacrificing my actual personality to get a little attention for the first time in my life. I don't want to go back to being completely ignored again.
My
All
heart
right.
just broke in half.
I know there's a lot in here, and
There is a lot.
for me, it goes beyond even the actual context, content in the question, but also the way it's written. Like you can like
Hmm.
feel kind of how like the two warring sides of how this person is
Yeah.
feeling.
And
Um,
it's a very relatable feeling too.
Super
Like I feel like
relatable, super
everyone can
real.
relate to that in some way.
Yeah. Youth is currency. They get like that. That alone, it's true. And there is a space for that older that daddy kind of mentality, right? And there's also a space I think for people that are not as much as young people will tell you like, oh, once you hit 30 you're dead. I think there is it's definitely a place for the flirty 30 thriving community,
Yeah,
like there's
absolutely.
totally space for that.
30
I
is I'm excited for my 30s, honestly.
Yeah, I can't wait. I always say that I'm 30 by proxy because
Please.
I am 30 by proxy. Most of my friends are like in their 30s, or like I am 30 by proxy in my head. I'm like, I'm there.
Mhm.
I think it is important for us to kind of divest the way people feel and talk about things in online spaces, like on Twitter, versus the reality of things. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Um, and sometimes there is crossover in that, like posting thirst traps online or being flirty in the club. Sometimes those they can translate. But
Mhm.
I think a lot of like, especially when it comes to the whole like once you hit 30, you're dead. That is a very online way of viewing things, and
Yeah.
that's how a lot of young people talk about things on Twitter. But in reality, like you go out to the clubs, there's a lot of 30-year-olds out there. Like the people are out there still having a good time and living and not being worried about like I'm in my 30s, I'm dying.
Mhm. And I think also like because I definitely can relate to that feeling of feeling like, oh, I am just completely, if I just do my own thing, I'm not gonna be attracting anybody. But if I, pander to a certain type of like, you know, image or idea, then that's when I start attracting people. But what helped me, at least with that, is that like I found people in my own life, I value friendships like above anything else, above dating, above, even family to some point. Like friendships to me are the relationships that I've forged with people who are dedicated to loving me and I'm dedicated to loving them back and like
100%.
building and growing with them. And those are people who were instrumental in me like coming into myself and like finding out who I am and being comfortable in that, and being confident in that. And I'm not necessarily the most confident person. I'm just not. But when I am with my friends, I don't necessarily have to worry about whether I'm confident or not, because I know that I'm not going to be judged. I know that I'm
Yeah.
not like on some like, I don't know. I'm not being, auctioned or something like that. No one's trying to like, curry my favor or whatever. They're just chilling with me and I'm just chilling with them. Um, and it can really mess with your head when you do like start showing skin and try being more sexual, especially if it's not something that necessarily pleases you.
Oh
And then
yeah.
you
I mean,
start getting that attention.
exactly.
It can
I'll
be like, what is
real
going
quick.
on?
I'll say this: like there are times where if the submissions are a little slow, I'll show a little leg, and then all of a sudden I'll see it. So
Yeah,
I'm guilty of it too. So it is easy to kind of like fall prey to it.
I think using it to your advantage can help, because, and not necessarily to say that like, lure people in and then trap them, but like if you want to express yourself sexually, I think that is absolutely something that you should do. It's something that anybody should be able to do. Posting thirst traps, showing a little skin, being flirty, it's all fun. It's supposed to be fun. So if it's not fun for you, then I don't think it benefits you in the long run, because also the attention that you tend to get from that tends to be very superficial, and it
Yeah.
can it can evolve into something more meaningful. Because again, like, I mentioned that conversation about having sex with friends. I mean, a lot of people who do have sex with their friends do it because they know that they can feel comfortable there, and they know that they can express themselves in a way that won't be judged, and it's not like just this base level, oh, I want your meat or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to make you feel good. So if you can find a way to navigate that in that way, where it's like for your benefit, weeding out the superficiality and just kind of like not focusing on that, then I would definitely still try and explore that, because I think, I don't know, I think that it's just supposed to be fun. It's just all supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun. I think that's kind of like the theme of this episode. It should be fun, right?
It
Like
should be
it
fun.
should be fun. And if it's not fun to you, you need to find a way to like make it fun or just do it in a different way. And the thing, like for me, it's about towing that line. And I think they
Hmm.
kind of touched on this where they're like, I led with personality, but I get attention when I show skin. But at the end of the day, is that attention from the people that you want attention from?
Exactly.
Is that another
Exactly.
thing to analyze? Like, is the type of person that you're going after only responding to that? Like, are your like standards just such a point? Like, are you only wanting people who see that superficiality, right?
Hmm.
Because I think there's definitely a way where you could post it, not all the time, but when you're like really feeling yourself and do it when it comes naturally. I feel like is
Yeah.
the kind of the important part. I don't think it's like if you're having to force it because it'll get you that attention. I think it's important to think, why do I want that attention? Uh could I get that attention elsewhere? Like sometimes it's not about getting the attention or like the likes from the people online. Sometimes it's about getting attention from your friends or getting attention from
Hmm.
like a loved one or
Hmm.
and not it's obviously these are all different types of attention, but the intent is all the same, right? Is to
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
have someone hear you and to feel you and to listen to you or to make you feel good, like you were saying. I think it's all important to analyze the reasons why we want certain things from certain people and whether or not it's kind of like I don't the reality of it. uh there's like so much in here. I kind of want to like
I know.
go through and
I
take it
was I
little
was
bit by
trying to
bit.
I was literally what I was doing, because I think I would say making sure that your priorities and what kind of attention that you want, like reorganizing that for yourself, is a
Yeah.
really good thing to do. Because for me, growing up, I had romance all the way at the top. It was like, that's like you get that, you get the platinum trophy. You beat life on hard mode. You got it,
Yeah.
you're good. And then and it's honestly no shade to my first partner because they were amazing, still friends with them, love them down. But when I got into that relationship, I was kind of like, oh, it wasn't what I had built it up in my head to be. And it made me realize that more so than being in a relationship, what I wanted was someone who understood me and who was
Mm-hmm.
willing to put in time to like get to know me. And I realized that I can do that in friendships and not necessarily need, you know, any sense of like romantic, validation. And that's not to say that everybody just needs to stop dating because, it works differently for everybody.
Yeah.
But I think making sure that you have those priorities measure and level and not like at some unexpected or unattainable level.
Yeah,
It,
like
it can definitely set you
some
up for failure.
yeah, because then when you get it, it's not. I do this a lot with coffee shops. I'm sorry to take it there, but I do this a lot with coffee shops. If I pass by a coffee shop, I'm like, that place looks so cute. I have to like add it to my list of places to go. I hype it up so much in my head.
Mhm.
And then when I get there, I get like a flat white or a little latte, and I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's just not what you expect,
It's flat white.
Yeah, it's a coffee. At the end of the day, it's a coffee. And I think people do this a lot. They like
Mhm.
they do this in relationships, or they do even the opposite where they catastrophize it, and they like make it out to be the
Yes.
worst thing. And then when it happens, it's not that bad. And I think
Mm,
that's a lot of the reason why people are afraid to have really vulnerable conversations with other people.
absolutely.
Um, Going back to the beginning of their question where they're saying, I can't make a connection with someone if I can't attract them, but that's another issue. I think let's tackle that issue.
Mm,
I think there's a way to attract the type of person that you want and do so without having to, post thirst traps online and act a certain way that's outside of who you are. I think you can
yeah.
still lead with personality, but like make it a little flirty to kind of not lure people in, but it's to kind of get the person you want, you
Yeah.
could I think it's important to show your personality, and it might not be like an online thing. This might be something you have to like, do in person, or
That's something else
because
too.
I online is just so hard because when you think people are swiping and they're swiping and they're swiping and
It's a game. It's literally just a
it's a
game. They're not
game.
people. They're just like faces on a screen. They're not really interacting with you. Half the
Yeah.
time I can guarantee you, or maybe not half the time, but I can guarantee you if you were to like be in, and they said that they've been, getting out of the comfort zone, going into the scene more these last few years, but in-person interactions are vastly different than online interactions.
100%. Yeah, because if you have to base everything off of online, and especially apps like like Tinder or Bumble, where it really is just a game of swiping,
Mhm.
I can tell you the amount of people that, like, I remember I worked at a bar a couple years ago, and I just used to see this straight guy swiping, and I'd be like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm just I just hit yes to everybody, and then I go through and I filter them out later." I was like, "What? That's crazy."
That's
That's
insane.
crazy. I was like, so that I think was really eye
Min
opening for
maxing.
me in seeing how people, yeah, literally like min maxing their like matches, right? Uh, yeah. So like on Tinder, if that first picture has to show a little thigh meat to get you there, like you really have to make it work for you.
Yeah,
And then, but I think in person, you lead with that personality. I think that's the most important
absolutely.
part.
A hundred
Lead
percent.
with that personality. But if you make it a little flirty, I think experiment with that a little bit. It sounds like you're getting out.
Yeah.
You said you're getting outside your comfort zone, but don't be afraid to like be a little more flirty in person, or, you know, those types of interactions I feel always mean a little more, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, because if you're leading with personality, then you're going to find people who, at some point, you will find people who, vibe with that personality. Because I
Yeah.
think, you know, when it comes to wanting to meet people, whether it's romantically or even just friendships, the older you get, the harder it can be, because there's not a lot of opportunities for you to be in the same space and your schedules to line up. And maybe someone's super
Mhm.
busy and they just can't communicate it. There's a million different reasons for why certain connections don't always work out the way that you would, hope they could. Um, and just like leaving space for that while also being sure of yourself. Because I don't necessarily think, I'm not as hard on insecure people as a lot of people tend to be. I think that people need to, people who are insecure need to manage their insecurities a lot better, me included. But like, I don't necessarily think that confidence has to be, the way that you go about it, even if you're faking it. I do think that faking it sometimes can help too,
100%.
building that. But like being sure of yourself, I think is the most important thing for me, at least. Because if you're secure in who you are and what you value and what interests you, you know, people will come. I'm an example of that. Again, like I did not see myself as someone who would, you know, be successful in the way that I was in streaming. But the more that I streamed and the more that I put myself out there, and the more that I was willing to, be myself, the more I attracted people who just vibed with me. And the more that kind of, coalesced, I was able to feel different about the way that I receive attention from people,
Mm-hmm.
because it didn't become this thing where it was like, if I don't get this attention, then I'm never going to find it. It was just like, if I don't get attention in a certain area, I know that I will always have friends who can, support me in any other way that I need to be supported.
Um,
So yeah.
and I want to, there's like a couple other things I want to, so in the middle of the question,
Mhm.
they're writing, it's frustrating. I wasted a lifetime working on my insides when I should have just been doing this to lure people in, right? We've touched on this a little bit, but I think, you spend a lifetime working on your insides and you're going to spend a lifetime more continue to work on who you are as a person. And that's important. I think it's important to give yourself the grace to be like, this isn't time wasted,
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
it's not time wasted. And also, and I feel like we just keep nailing this part in, like understanding that just because you're getting attention when you show skin doesn't mean that it's, real attention or, lasting attention.
Yeah, no.
Like, I think it's important to recognize the type of attention it is. And you
Yes.
can still get,
Yes.
just because you're not getting that type of attention when you're like just, leading with personality, doesn't mean you're not getting attention at all. It's certainly going to be different. It might not, it's like being the new gay person in a city and you open up Grindr for the first time. You're going to get a lot of attention right off the bat, right? But does it last? No, because the day after it's kind of
You're
gone.
old.
So yeah, basically,
Expired.
I think it's important to really separate what that means to yourself and recognize that just because it's there doesn't mean it's always super super duper important. But yeah, it's not wasted time working on yourself. And I mean, you've got a great personality, and evidently
Yeah.
you're pretty because people are responding to it. So you've got 2 for 2 right now.
Like, okay. Because then also, I don't think I made the point that I wanted to, but when I brought up the, friends, messing around with each other, I think sometimes it can be an avenue to have foster a meaningful relationship. Sometimes people hook up and they don't expect anything to happen from it, and then they become friends.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's happened multiple times. The amount of people that I've just like hooked up with, we're like, we did it once and we're like, oh hey, that was cute, and then afterwards it's just like, oh hey sister, like
hey,
we just end up being friends afterwards.
You just
like,
kind of queen out,
Yeah, that is so much the queer experience. I feel like a lot of straight people are like terrified.
Oh yeah,
terrified of that. They're like, oh my god, I could never.
Yeah, men and women can't be friends because they'll only fuck each other, and it's
girl,
like, okay, but
whatever.
The Judy over here sent me like a whole pic just the other day, and we're just chilling. Like, it's cool.
Like, it's all good.
But yeah, like, what you said, and like navigating what kind of attention it is, because I feel like when you really look at the attention that's being given to you, you can tell if it's superficial or not. Especially if you see a pattern of behavior and the type of attention that individual people are giving you. So just being open, but also being particular yourself, weeding out what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah, I think I don't know. This is such like a layered, nuanced question. We're never gonna get to the we're
Absolutely.
never gonna get to the end of it. We're never gonna
No.
solve your problem. You know what I mean? This is a problem that we
It's
are
an age old.
all going
Yeah.
to be dealing with for, the rest of eternity,
Hmm.
But it is I just think it's important for us all to let's all breathe. Let's all, try to separate what things mean to our like you said, uh reprioritize these different types of attention and what it means to you, and figure out how we can foster long lasting relationships from this or that or the other. And then I think for me, the part that I don't know, because for me, the age thing in the gay community is like, so I just don't care.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people don't care. And I think the minority of people saying that, like once you get old, you're dead, if there are people that just don't care. And sure,
Yeah,
the people that do
absolutely.
care, pay him no mind.
They're not worth your time
It's
anyway,
not worth your time.
honestly.
If anyone finds out that you're 30 and all of a sudden it's like, oh God, no, they probably weren't the person for you anyway. You know? And I don't know if that's because so I'm 26, and when I met my boyfriend, I thought he was like maybe 28 or something. I thought he's a very youthful face.
Mhm.
It's not like when I found out that he was 37 that I was like, oh my God, I have to run. You know what I mean? Like, don't let Twitter age discourse, dictate how you live your life,
Yeah,
you know, because like we said, like it's those in-person things that matter the
yeah,
most.
absolutely.
Yeah, because I trust you. If you go out to the bar today when you listen to this, go out to the bar. Not everybody's going to be 21. Not everybody's going to be 30. There are going to be 40-year-olds. There's going to
Hmm.
like people of all ages are at the bar. Not all ages. Well,
I'm gonna be 70 kicking at the
men, women, and
bar.
children. Yeah, no, I truly catch me at 70 at the club.
No, literally.
Yeah, I was at this party that happens every Sunday here in Chicago. It's like
Mhm.
it's called Queens. There's house music. It's great. And I was there a couple weeks ago, and I saw these two lovely old men just get in their life, dancing on the dance floor, dancing with each other. And they were like, they had to have been in their like 60s or 70s. Like they were
60.
up there, but they
Mhm.
were having just the loveliest time. And I'm sure they weren't caring about, oh my God, I'm over 30, I'm dying. They were just existing in the moment and feeling the music and, feeling each other and,
Mhm.
really just living in that. So I don't know. And I'm not saying that there aren't times for us to, have the conversation about age in the community, but I think a lot of
Mhm.
the time, let's just breathe. Let's
It
live in that moment a bit.
I literally live in the moment because I was gonna say it's always so foreign to me when people, are so anti getting older. Cause like, I don't know, people like, a perfect example is like that one scene in the Barbie movie when she sits next to that older lady on the bus bench. I don't even remember what she said,
I don't
but I
remember. I just
remember
remember the feeling I had
the
because I was like,
feeling, yeah, because it was just this really sweet moment, and like she was this older woman who had all these experiences, who had lived a full life, and maybe she didn't have friends at one point, maybe she did, but like taking life for what it is and like really truly living in the moment and appreciating the little things too.
yeah,
Even if you go to the bar and you talk to someone and it's a nice little conversation and nothing comes of it, appreciate that moment because that moment in and of
yeah,
itself was still beautiful. you know
exactly. And I hate to just be so dreamy about it, but like there is just beauty in all these little things, and
there
just
is.
getting older and being on, as shitty as the world can get, just having the opportunity to just be here and find
Hmm.
love in all these little things. I think it's
Everything is
important to
romantic.
like stop, literally, like to stop and smell the roses. Like it is romantic. Everything is romantic, and it can be.
Everything is.
So yeah, and I hate to just be all like, head up in the
I
clouds,
love I love
but
doing that shit,
sometimes you
honestly.
got to be head in the clouds a little
You
bit,
do, yeah.
Sometimes you really just have to romanticize things. And I'm not saying romanticize everything, right? Because sometimes
Mhm.
it's important not to, but there is
Having that
times for me to like
balance.
there is balance for me to like walk down the street and just, look at the sky and just see how pretty it is and just thank the universe for letting me exist on this day. Like there is
Totally.
a space for that. And I think it's important to do that at times.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, being getting older just sounds like as terrifying as it is, it's also equally as beautiful, and
Yeah.
it's everything.
I hate it when people feel like they're running out of time or like they're wasting time. Cause
Yeah.
like, you know, I just don't see that as a thing. I don't think that there is a way to waste time because every moment that you're living, you're being yourself. You're getting to know yourself. You're growing. You're changing. You are experiencing people, whether it's for a season or for the rest of your life. There's so much that life has to offer that like I could never see, wasting time is something that vibes with my sense of reality, I guess. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
I
always,
There's a lesson in
making memories.
everything,
Yeah. There's something everywhere.
Yeah, and maybe that's just us, but I truly believe that there is a lesson in every little thing, even if it's not, even if you don't see it for like till years down later in the road. I'm sure, and even if there wasn't a meaningful lesson, it got you to where you are now, or it's
And
getting
to
you to
pick
where you're going.
hmm And also to connect that to your question, is that this could even be the moment in your life where you're figuring out how best to make friends or how best to put yourself out there. It's
Yeah,
trial and error. Everything is trial and error. There's always going to be mistakes, and it's going to suck when you're failing. It's going to suck when you're making mistakes. It's going to suck when things aren't going the way that you want it to be. But I can say for a fact, things do not stay the same. There will
yeah,
be times where you are like just hitting it off. Everything's just going the way that you need it to, and there's be times where it just kind of feels like it's, maybe it's falling apart or maybe it's not going exactly the way that you want to. But that's kind of the
yeah.
beauty of life is that you just kind of go through those
It
cycles.
waxes and
And
wanes.
yeah, and ideally have people in your corner who are there for you when you need them, which is why I would always prioritize friendships.
I love it. I always, and I say this to like a lot of my friends who are like chronically dating people. And I remember saying this like a lot to this, like a friend that I had in college, but like I could find love in my friends. I could find love in the trees. I could find love in the flowers, like I could find love in everything
Yes.
else. I don't need to prioritize having love in just like one person and like that be my partner. And like, I have my boyfriend now. Fantastic. Love him. But I still find love in my friendships, and I still find love and in everything else. And I think it's important to not be like, if I do not have a partner, I am nothing. It's important to be like, find love in yourself, you know?
Yes, yes. Being okay with being alone is something that is very difficult, but very essential too.
Very, very essential.
Because you know even with friends you can't rely on them for everything. There are some
Yeah.
things where you will have to sit with yourself and figure things out.
Yeah,
um
I feel like we've kind of like just expanded the scope of this beyond like we've
because
ran
like it
away
kind
from
of
this
is
person's question.
necessary.
But yeah, you kind of have to. And before we move on to the final
Mhm.
segment of the show, the last thing I want to say is I think you know like you were saying, this is them finding out who they are and kind of how they're figuring it out. There isn't a time limit on figuring out who you are, and you're taking this time because they said it in their question how they're like taking this moment in their life to kind of try out the opposite, right? They were doing personality for a while, and it wasn't working in their words. I'm not saying that that's the reality because I'm sure you
Yeah.
were but now they're trying the kind of the thirst trap route and the out of their comfort zone, being in the scene and all that. They're the way they're framing it is kind of like two different extremes. And I think for this like this is kind of like the capstone on my advice to this person specifically rather than just the question as a whole.
Mhm.
This is the point where you've tried it both ways. Now it's up to you to synthesize your own unique way of doing both things. And
Yes.
it doesn't have to be just thirst traps or just leading with personality. There's a way for you, and I can't tell you what it's going to look like. There's a way for you to do it that is just so uniquely you. And whether that's a little flirting here, or uh I just don't even know how to explain it, but like it's not two extremes. Now it's up to you to kind of take the bits that work of each and use that to kind of mold how you go into not just online interactions, but interactions in person,
Absolutely.
all types of things.
Yeah. I mean, even just expanding the purview, it doesn't always have to be at the club. It could be like, I don't know, go to a library. What interests you? If you like movies, find people who like movies. If you like video games, find people who like video games. There are plenty of communities online and in person where you can like apply your personality first, strategy, and also plenty of places where you can apply that sexuality, strategy
Yeah.
first,
And it
and then
also doesn't
also
even have to be
sometimes
like sexual. It could be like sensuality, and it
yeah,
doesn't have to.
sensuality, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's another part that we didn't even like touch on, but that whole sensuality versus sexuality kind of conversation, and it doesn't have to be overtly let me flop my dick out on the table. I don't know
I
why
hope
that
not.
I
I hope not.
if that works, I'm sure that works in some cases, in some situations, but that might not be for everything.
Maybe on
Sometimes you have to play
wholesome.
kind of the burlesque dancer a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, play a little coy. I don't know. There's just so much we can continue to talk about for this, but for now, I think we're gonna end the questions here. Thank you everyone for submitting. As always, you can submit your questions over at poisontouch.com or by calling in at 312-725-6483 to leave me a little voicemail. We'll pull some tarot cards for you. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into the final segment of the show, Advice to the Stars, where we, pick some public figures, celebrities, where we give advice to them where they didn't ask for it, but they damn well need it. Welcome back. We had a lovely break. Charlie, how are you holding up for your first podcast experience?
Oh my God, it's been trying. I've what is it? I got shot. I cried. I laughed. I had many epiphanies.
Yep, that's a lot. It's always it's a lot of talking.
It really is.
It is a lot of talking. Like people don't know this. After I record, I just kind of like sit there. Yeah. And then I go right back to talking because I'm so talkative. I sit there, I give myself a moment of silence, and I go, okay, we're back.
Please. I'm lucky that I streamed, because if I didn't, my throat would be in shambles. But I'm used to it at this point.
See, that's why I love like doing people who like I know talk. So like streamers, people who have YouTube. So like, all right, the people who I know can like really, really just go off the cuff.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Advice to the Stars, the final segment of the show where we give advice to the public figures that didn't ask for it but damn well need it. We got a couple things on the docket today. First up, it's election season. It's an election year. I'm terrified, as many people are. And there was the debate. I don't want to have a full conversation on the debate because that is just, we'll spend another hour just talking about that. Biden, I'm going to need you to sit down, have one of the Secret Service bring you over a hot chamomile tea, and let's put you in a rocking chair and just, give you a little blanket.
Let's do the memory exercises, like draw a clock for me or something, like
visualize an apple in your head, turn the apple, turn
work
the apple
them brain
360
muscles or something, girl.
Let's do that because she seemed confused up there.
More than confused. She was lost.
And the thing is, like, when you just get to that age, like, that's just normal for a lot of old people. And like some people are like really like, oh, he's senile, he's dementia. Some people, when people get older, like, this is just like kind of just average old person behavior. But therein lies the problem.
Yeah.
Why are people this old clinging to positions of power like this?
All right. Let's get into the tea.
You've done your work. It's time to sit back and let someone else take the reins.
Because isn't it the Supreme Court seats that are lifetime?
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. Why? Literally, why? That's ridiculous.
That's crazy to me because if I was on the Supreme Court, yeah, sure, I would probably stay until like my 60s or whatever, right? Like a reasonable amount of time. But when I tell you I am done working, I am done working. So I don't understand why we have Supreme Court justices that are like in their 80s.
Girl.
Mama, you don't want to rest?
Yeah, falling off the bone, tender as hell, and they're
You
just
don't
like,
want to. You don't
I
want to go to
got another,
Cabo.
I got another human right to take away.
To take away,
please.
like, you don't want to just take a trip down to Palm Springs, sit in the sun, eat a hot dog, get an icy, get a little ice cream from the paleta man that's biking down the street. Like, you just have to cling to this power so fiercely.
Get a hobby.
And I'm not even saying like young blood has to take it, like it's not, it doesn't have to be someone who's like in their 30, because in politics 30 is young. We just had the conversation.
Young, yeah.
30 is old for gay people. 30 is young for politics. I'm not even saying that,
that's fresh out the womb.
Yeah, just let someone younger than 80 do it. Like, are you not tired?
I know they're tired. I know that because they be falling asleep on stage.
I know you're exhausted. We heard the questions being answered. You're tired. Let someone else do it. And it just makes me so afraid because, and it's not just Biden. It was both of them up there.
No, literally both of them. Both
of them up there were confused and making a mess. And the way they like just talked to each other, it's the fact checker was doing this. The lie detector, the bitch is lying.
Please.
Yeah, it's hard to watch, and it's just really like disheartening. And I just want y'all to take a break, step back. It's okay. And then this isn't even getting into the whole like Project 2025 Christian fascist regime that is like plotting to take over. Like, we're not even getting into that because that's a whole other mess. I'm focused just on you all are this old. Take a break. You're tired. I know you are. Go home.
Let them knees rest because they're going to pop off if you don't.
Yes. I'm telling you, sit in the rocking chair, get a chamomile tea. I'm sure, your wives are can get a little pie, go with a little soup. I don't know, something.
Please.
Just take a rest. Put you 3 cups of water in a pot, a little bit of chicken bouillon, a little oregano, some crushed red pepper, and that little tiny pastini, the little pastas, the little pasta circle ones. Let that boil up, and then you're gonna crack an egg into a sieve, and you're gonna let the egg drop into the soup, and you're gonna enjoy that soup. Let's do that instead of holding on to our positions of power in politics. Let's do that. Make yourself egg drop soup. Take a rest.
Take a rest. Take a seat. Take a load off.
Take a load off. And this is even like beyond the people running for president. This goes to like the Supreme Court justices. The other day Maxine Waters was talking about how she's like in her late 80s and she can still jump and do all this, and that's great. Love that. At no point do you think, let me go do my water aerobics and stop running politics. Let's let someone else take it over.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it could not be me.
Could not be me.
Because if I could retire early,
oh girl,
if I get the chance to retire early, I'm taking it.
Mm-hmm.
At most, the only work I want to be doing when I'm older, maybe like one day at the flower shop. 1-2 days, maybe like one day at a coffee shop,
just get like, the blood pumping.
Just to keep my body moving. Let me make a bouquet. Let me serve a little latte. Nothing crazy, that's it. I want, the way I want to handle work when I'm older is the way that they handle side jobs in Persona.
Please.
Come in if you have the time.
Please.
Come in if you got the time,
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for workers on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Yeah, sure, I got time today. That is truly how I want to handle it. And I wish that for everybody.
Honestly.
We are not working to live. Wait, we're not living to wait. No. Flip that, reverse it. We're not living to work, we're working to live. And
There
at
we
such a
go.
point where you don't got to work to live no more, live.
Live,
Live, bitch,
live.
live. Biden, Trump, you could do anything in the world. Anything. Why are we doing this?
Stop messing up my future. Thank you.
Yeah, just stop. Trump, Trump, let's leave politics. Go back to doing reality TV.
It's
Just
what
do
you're good
that.
at.
It's what you're good at. You know? Go to twitch.tv. Sit
Bro,
there.
go to Kick. They'll love you over there.
Well, then, yeah. But, go to Twitch, start you a little account, play a couple games, learn about the joys of video games, That's it. You just do something. Anything else. Anything else.
We got you covered. It's okay.
Yeah, but that's all I got for them. I just want old people to rest. Something else I wanted to talk about with that last question that we had before the break. You said something about I don't know. I just had this thought. I was like, I just love talking to old gays. Oh, it was about the Barbie movie. When she's sitting on that park bench, she's talking to the older woman. I think it's important for young gays. And I think a lot of young people are afraid to do this for one reason or another, or maybe they had a bad experience where like one old person was hitting on them and they didn't like it, right? Not every old person's going to do that to you, right? I think it's important to cherish and I say this so many times on this podcast because I really believe it. It's important to cherish the elderly queer people that we have.
Absolutely.
And hear their stories. They've been through a lot, and they've done a lot of work to get us where we are today, where we could sit here and live our authentic lives and talk like this. So I think it's important to hear the stories of queer people, and even when they are a little outdated, let's nurture them and let's let them know. It's because I've had conversations with some old people where they may have said something that was like a little out of touch, and I've just been like, just reminded them we don't use that word anymore, right?
Yeah.
We don't use that word anymore. And they had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, they're a product of their time.
Yeah, we don't say that anymore. It's okay. But then the story continued, and they learned a thing. I think it's important for them to learn from us, and for us to learn from them. And this is like, if you tell an old person that we don't use that word anymore and they say, fuck it, I'm going to keep using it, then you just know that's not the person you want to hear all the stories from.
That's not the person that you need to learn from.
That's not the person you need to learn from. I'm not saying that like you just blindly follow what old people say. But, there are loads of old people who are willing to learn from young people and enjoy learning from young people. And I think
enjoy imparting their knowledge on young people too.
We should give them that same grace, like we want to learn from them and hear their stories. Yeah, I don't know why it just was in my head. It was weighing on my soul. Yeah, I love talking to old people. I love hearing, and not just like old, like I'm not talking like old, like people just like in their like 50s. Yeah. I love hearing the stories from like, when they were like in their heyday, out of the
when they were a young whippersnapper.
Yeah, I love hearing stories like that. Like Cosmo, Queen of Melrose, he was Jehovah. So my grandma wanted us all to convert from Jehovah, from Catholic to Jehovah. Just hearing those types of stories. I just love hearing people.
That clip is so funny, but it's so real.
Cross-addicted family still cooking pasta on Sundays, and the meatballs were burnt. I could listen to them talk.
Oh my god,
hours. They were on Delta Works podcast, and it was like just a fantastic hour-long session of just two people of an age talking about the heyday, the way that they lived, and I just love hearing those things. Anyway, next up, there was this whole, I don't want to belabor this point because the discourse has gone on far too long and 800 things to be said. The discourse about the Fire Island Pines, when there's 50 white people in the photo and they got like one black person in the photo or one person of color. If you are going to post a big group picture like this and you only have white friends, have the white friends. I don't care. Just do not be surprised when people look at you sideways. I just don't understand like why
It really doesn't make sense why they're so surprised. Like, girl, if you didn't want your clan meeting to be public, then you should have kept it private in the first place. But
Yeah.
like, you put it out there, so people are gonna react to it and literally agree. Like, y'all stay over there. That's fine. Y'all are keeping yourselves away from me. That's great. Love that. But don't be surprised when people start, riding you for that, because
Yeah. And then on
it
the other
don't look
side,
great.
people who are like urging those people to like find friends of color, because it's not, I don't think someone should try to find friends of color because they want them as a token in their photo. You
Yeah,
should want friends of different cultures and backgrounds because you want to enrich your life. You know what I mean?
literally.
You should just
And I
want it organically and want it real like that.
And oftentimes, if you got that look that's just like duplicated over and over in all your pictures, you're probably a harm to people of color in the first place. So
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
need that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think for both sides, A, don't be surprised when people come at you sideways, and B, maybe we don't urge these people to try and seek out people that they can tokenize in their photos, because that also feels crazy.
It does. It does. It really
Yeah.
is.
And this, like, if all 40 of the white gays, at the Fire Islands Pines party at the whatever, like if they're doing that, there are like the people of color that are on Fire Island are probably having their own great time with their own friends. They don't
With
need
their
to
own
be
friends.
around or with they have they can do their own thing. It's not like they need
Hmm.
to be in the photo with all
You don't,
like,
if you don't want the college pamphlet photo, you don't got to have it.
yeah. You don't gotta have it. That's all I wanted to say about it, because truly the discourse is insane. And if you're not on Twitter seeing it, amen to you, girl. Amen
Amen.
to you, because the
I
rest
only
of
caught a little
us,
bit of it.
I know, I only saw the little bit that I saw, and I said,
Mhm.
that's enough.
Literally
I don't need to see
done.
it. I don't need to see it. I saw that little bit, and then I was listening to another podcast and they talked a little bit about it.
Mhm.
And they, on that other podcast, they brought up a good point. They said, if you want to post a group photo, maybe let's just post individual photos with one friend at a time, because then it's a little less noticeable.
Yeah.
if you feel the need to do it, maybe we just do a couple photos with one friend,
Oh,
at a
God.
time, because then it doesn't look like there's a whole horde of you.
Mm.
The whole brood doesn't have to come out. Like the cicadas. It could just be a little snippet.
I wish they were like cicadas. They'd be gone for longer.
Gone. Put them away for a couple of years. They come back. But when they come back, they're loud, and they are.
And they are.
And
And
they
are.
are. Yep. Are you in one of the areas with cicadas? Because I know there's different broods
I
that
think
awaken at
so.
different times.
I think so. Because I'd be hearing them sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think you would know if you were in like the big, like the loud
oh,
brood area.
probably not like one of those big ones now.
Okay. Because I remember I want to say 2014,
Mhm.
in New Jersey, one of the big broods awoke. Because I was running in track at the time, and I used to, no, it was cross country. I had quit track by then. So I was running cross country, and I used to practice by running in the woods. And I went to go run in the woods one day, as I often did. I had this like big blue hoodie that I always ran in. I looked like a blueberry. And I got to there, and I heard this sound, just this low drumming buzz. It sounded like a UFO was like hovering over the forest. And so I was like, damn, the bugs are kind of loud today. I started running in the forest. Pop, 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 pop. They're hitting me. They're hitting each other. I saw one cicada hits the other, and just on the ground, the wing gets snapped off. So it starts spinning around like this in a circle. The cicada, like, trust me, if you were in one of the big brute areas, you
I
would
am
know.
definitely not then. I
Okay,
am
because
definitely
it
not.
is crazy when they wake up, and there's like the large amount, like more so than just like the regular amount of like cicadas,
Mhm.
it's an insane amount.
I don't know why I never assumed that they like flew around. I just kind of figured that they like chilled on the tree, screamed a little bit, and went back to sleep.
And a lot of times that is what they do. But when it's like
Mhm.
mating, they are flying around, hitting things, and they're like effectively blind. So they're just like hitting
Mhm.
each other, like just grasping out for something to mate with. Yeah. So cicadas are crazy. Advice to the cicadas: go back to sleep.
Go back to sleep.
Go back to sleep. It's okay, baby. Like it's just, cicadas are like the elderly people in office. Take a break. Go to
Take
sleep.
a break.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
Biden, you need to make like a cicada and go back to sleep.
Jesus.
Okay. Let's talk Final Fantasy a bit. Let's talk Final
Yes.
Fantasy a bit. And this is not, necessarily advice to the stars, but I want to talk because we both have been playing Rebirth, and I think it's important to talk about this. Is Aerith Gainsborough a girl's girl? And I think I'm of two minds about it, right?
Mhm.
I think she is a layered woman who is struggling to see her past boyfriend
Mhm.
in this person that she's traveling with, right? And
Mhm.
she sees Zach in him all the time.
All the time.
And she feels that love and attraction and things like that. But also knowing that her best friend is also feeling that same love and attraction for Cloud, not for Zach, but for Cloud.
For Cloud.
And so she's struggling with like, the feelings that she's feeling, both for how Tifa sees Cloud and for how she sees Cloud through that lens of Zach. And
Mhm.
this is not even considering Cloud's whole split personality with Zach, because when
I got some advice for Cloud later.
when she's seeing Zach, she is seeing Zach because that is what Cloud has had to hodgepodge himself together to get himself out of Hojo's Mako poisoning. But I don't know. There are some points where I'm like, Aerith, stay away from Tifa's bed.
I think she is a girl's girl, even more so in Rebirth than she was in the original. Because in the original,
100%.
Oh my god, they were so catty.
They
were
were
so catty. Like I remember that scene when you're in Shinra Tower and you're talking to either Aerith or Tifa, and like one of them realizes that you're in the room with someone else, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And they're just like, they're so bitchy to each other.
Yeah, and then they tried to like play like they have such a close relationship. I was like, no. In Rebirth, I buy it. I buy that they have a really close relationship in Rebirth. But when they tried to say that about the original, I was like, no, don't lie to me like
they really
this.
don't.
Don't lie. And maybe that was like a localization thing, but
yeah, probably.
from what I got, it did not seem like they had that relationship.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, we continue.
But I think so because you're at the temple, right?
Yeah.
So you've pretty much seen all the bulk of their interactions. I think the perfect example of Aerith being a girl's girl is I feel like in Gungaga when they are talking about, or they meet Zach's parents, and Aerith is kind of talking to Cloud about feeling bad about talking, bringing him up, and then Tifa comes over, and I don't know, Cloud's just kind of oblivious to everything always because that's just he's just got his own thing going on.
Yeah.
But you see many times Aerith and Tifa are like talking about Zach, talking about Cloud, and you kind of get the sense that even though Aerith has these complicated feelings for Cloud, she knows that she doesn't know who Cloud is, which is why in the date she's like, "Oh, I want to meet you. I want to meet you," and he's just like, "Huh?"
He's like not getting it.
He's not getting it.
He just never gets it.
He's never getting.
She like takes the time, like when she's holding his hand there, she's like, I want to meet you. But when she holds his hand like on the Ferris wheel, to me, that's like her trying to get those last moments with Zach.
And there's gonna be some moments towards the end of the game that you haven't gotten to yet that also kind of like show how Aerith is a girl's girl. I won't get into that obviously, but I
plan on finishing the game tonight, so I'm sure I'll hit you up tomorrow and we can talk a bit about it.
Please do, because I love that game so much. But no, yeah, I think she's a lot more emotionally mature in this game, which I love. 100%. Oh my god, all the characters are, and she knows that Tifa likes Cloud.
Oh, it's written there because like in the moment where they're like on the cruise ship and they're like having that little, they're like talking and then Cloud walks up. And they're like kind of giggling about something.
Yeah.
And Cloud's like, what are you guys doing? Like that, like they're talking about Cloud there. Mm-hmm. And then like Tifa is kind of telling Aerith how she's like feeling. You know, like they're having a very girls girl chat. And so for me, like at that moment, I was like, oh, Aerith is a girl's girl. But then there were like a couple moments, you know, like
she was still trying to get her little one in before she couldn't anymore.
Like, she's like, let's talk about like a date. And I'm like,
no, that was crazy and calm where she was like, oh my God, we're kind of on a date. And she was like, huh?
Yeah. Like, enough, girl. Yeah, no, I think ultimately she is a girl's girl, but there are a couple moments where she's like, let me just get a little bit in.
I can't blame her. I can't blame her being just a little bit messy. She's been in Midgar her whole entire life. She want to live a little bit, you know?
Yeah, live a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
You know what she's doing? She's not home wrecking. She's just testing the foundation.
She's making sure
that it's secure. You know, that's all. That's all.
Exactly. You know, sometimes just a little tap tap. Just to check, you know. But you wanted to talk about Cloud. Let's talk about Cloud.
Cloud strife. Seek mental help. Seek therapy immediately. That is like the number one advice that I could give. Yeah. Because that man needs help. And I love the way that they showed it in this game too, because it is just a gradual decline.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And even like the way, like when Cloud sees the robes, he sees himself, and that like scares him to no end. And especially like towards the end when you're in the temple and he's parroting the whole homecoming thing, and Tifa has to pull him back and bring him back to himself.
I don't even think that she really is, honestly, because you have that moment in Nibelheim when you walk up to the materia fountain again, and it's verbatim what Sephiroth said at the very beginning of the game. And then in Gongaga, when Sephiroth kind of just like fully takes over, he just murders. That's something also, a little side note. The party is kind of crazy. I kind of understand it, but like this man is brutalizing these people in front of him, and they're just like, it's okay, Cloud. You're okay.
Like, oh.
Get him help. Get him to open up, please.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Like, Cloud butchers the soldier operative in the Temple of the Ancients, and Tifa's like, Cloud, don't. He does it anyway. And then Barrett just sits there and is like, jeez. I'm waiting.
He's like, that's you. That's your friend.
Like, I get it. We don't like Shinra, but maybe at some point, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Especially since we haven't seen nothing like that from Cloud.
Yeah.
Up until these moments.
I'm just waiting for someone to be like, Cloud, that's like dark. That's like kind of dark.
It's kind of fucked up a little bit.
Yeah, Cloud, let's I don't know, let's take a step back. Let's breathe. You know, I get we're trying to get this material, but like let's.
It's okay. It's not going nowhere. I promise.
Yeah, I know. We're trying to get there before the Turks do. Let's breathe. Breathe. Oof. Yeah.
Get some help.
Get some help. Get help. Yeah. And to the Turks, I don't know what to say, y'all. I know. Stop being so hot. I'm tired. I don't care.
They kind of got that like sexy non-binary swag to them that I'm just like, okay.
All of them.
Stop doing that. All of them. Like literally every single one of them.
Were they? And also, I'm like, were they all trained by Zangon? Because I'm like, why are you all so good at hand-to-hand combat?
Oh my God. I love that though. I love it so much. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just love how cohesive they are with each other in the way that they, fight with each other. For the people that like aren't into video games are just like, I don't know what they're talking about.
What the hell?
But I hope you're getting your life. I hope you're getting your life. This is for the gamer girls. So shout out to us. We had to include a little bit of time for the gamer girls. We had to do that. Yeah. So if you're sticking it through it up until now, I see you.
Thank you.
I see you.
You are valid.
Yeah, you're valid. I had Star Wars on the docket real quick because I've been watching The Acolyte and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm having a good time. But then I thought about it and I was like, I actually don't want to talk about it.
Period.
I will just say this. Fandom, people are so mad for so many reasons.
Fandoms in general are crazy. And
I think it's important to criticize the media that you consume.
Absolutely.
And not criticize, but critique. Critique is the word that I was looking for, not criticize. Critique the media that you consume and ask questions. Um, but something about the Star Wars fandom, it just seems like they're also miserable, and they're also worried about the canon. Let's just breathe, enjoy watch the stuff you like, and don't watch the stuff you don't like. It's not that I
It's
don't.
really that
No one's
simple.
forcing you to watch it. You know, like it's with like comic books. I read the ones that I like, and I don't read the ones that I don't like.
Yeah, and I think what's fun about comics is that like even if they break canon or like break continuity in some way, sometimes just a simple run, like if it does something interesting and different, it can just be fun to enjoy that for what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know. It's just I just to me it doesn't have to ever be that serious for people to be like fighting the wars online. Like yeah,
They be
I don't know.
scrapping in the fandom wars
Scrapping, yeah,
because
they're getting active.
in Final Fantasy, I get a lot of Final Fantasy VII fandom wars on my timeline, and the Cloud and Aerith shippers and the Cloud and Tifa shippers, they be going at it. They be ruthless. It's
That's
crazy.
crazy because I think where we can all unify Aerith Tifa. That's the
All
type of shipper I
right.
am. Let's get into
Okay.
that.
Let's get into that.
Let's get
That
into
is where the
that.
real tea is.
Yeah. And maybe that's just because I'm like value the friends over relationships. Like maybe that's it.
Literally.
Maybe it's not that I'm shipping them, but I'm just like, why are we so focused about the man here? Let's get into
Oh,
the relationships between the friends.
literally, I am shipping them because they went back to that room and calm a little too quick. Okay. They wasn't just going to
Well,
sleep. All right. They had a little thing on the menu real quick, actually.
yeah. Anyways, that's it. I just
Wow.
fandom was pissing me off when I was
Mhm.
writing the outline, but now I've kind of cooled down. And I was like, no, just I don't get why people are so mad. I was like, let me not feed into it. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to be the bigger person. And with that, we come to the end. Charlie, thank you so much for doing this.
Of course, it was so much
I've had such a
fun.
lovely time talking with you.
Same
Do you want
here.
to promote anything?
Even though I am on hiatus right now on twitch.tv/VioletFlava is where I stream usually. I have some VODs saved of when I was playing Rebirth. It's the very end, so if you don't want to get spoiled, I would not watch those. But yeah.
Yeah, it's always a good time. I always have a fun time when Charlie streams. So go check her out. She's great. Lovely time. Do you want to drop your socials or just Twitch? It's up to you. It's really
Twitter,
no stress.
Green Flava, Instagram, Blue Flava.
Boom. Get all your different colors of
Flava.
flavors.
Right.
Yo. I I've been Jake. As always, you can find me at Poison Touch Pod or at Crowkunk if you want my personal comics, musings, and whatnot. You can always submit your questions at poisontouch.com or by calling in at 312-725-6483. If you're enjoying the content and want a little bonus stuff, head over to Patreon. That's patreon.com/poisontouchpod. For $5 a month, you can get full video episodes of every episode, bonus content like the Library of Alexandria, where I go through some of the older questions at the show. Because listen, the first couple episodes of this show were rough, because I really just took the Twitch VOD and the audio was bad, but I tried my best to make it work. It was a little rough. So I'm kind of going back and I'm redoing some of those older questions in the new updated, a little more professional format. So yeah, go check that out over there. And as always, stay hydrated, stay happy, and let's end this week. Go outside, no headphones, no music. Take a walk, look at the sky, look at the world around you, and just feel romantic about life for like
Find Jesus
like
Christ on a plastic sign.
yeah, do that. Just be a little romantic about life for like 10 minutes. That's all I ask. All right, we'll catch y'all later.